All right, the time has come. I can't believe from when we recorded our first episode, we are now doing our mock draft. It felt like ages ago the off-season discussions were happening, but it is time to do our mock draft. But before we get started, Joe, let's do a little housekeeping. Let's do a little NCAA Women's March Madness bracket action. We have to congratulate our champion, and unfortunately, our champion is you. So take a bow, say what you want to say. The time is yours.
Thank you. I just find myself such a intelligent human being when it comes to girls basketball. Bracket through the first round was I only picked 3 games wrong, I'm pretty sure. And we talked about this, like UConn was misseeded from the start. They should have been one of the 1 seeds, whether it was USC's 1 seed, Texas's 1 seed. Like they should have been in the mix in that top 4. As much as I'm happy about my victory, very happy about UConn getting that championship. Very happy for Paige getting one on her way out. And speaking of Paige, I think we'll probably be mentioning her name very soon as we run down this draft board here.
Yeah, I do want to say this UConn women's team felt a lot like, and I want to shout out my friend Ben. He said this first. This felt like a lot of like last year's UConn men's team, not the 1 seed, but the 2020 the first one UConn men's team, not the 1 seed, but dominated through the tournament. And really just nobody was a match. Like it was easily they were the best team in the tournament.
Well, and they beat 3 1 seeds, and that's the crazy part. And they beat all 3 comfortably. Like the fact that they went to the Final Four and beat UCLA and Lauren Betts and then South Carolina by 30 points, like those were, they ran through the tournament.
I think between the 3 UConn teams that were champions, there's left no doubt that all 3 of them were the best team in their respective sport.
Yeah, no, without a
doubt. South Carolina, a hell of a season. I couldn't believe. I don't want to mention names and how some coaches get yelled at for swearing and how some coaches don't get yelled at for swearing. But I'll leave it at that. I won't believe how some coaches will act on national stages, swearing.
Fun fact.
Some coaches get yelled at.
All coaches swear. It's just a matter of which ones have the camera on.
And all coaches yelled at the ref. All coaches yell at ref.
Part of coaching is working officials, and if you saw last night in the Florida-Houston game, not to do a deep dive into it, but once Florida's bench got the technical foul, I believe the fouls were 10-1 in their favor, as in Houston picked up the next 10 of 11 fouls. So like you might have to get a technical or work an official, but like it's part of the coaching. You're not just coaching your kids, you're working.
And I'm joking. I do love Dawn Staley. I have nothing against her. She's a great coach. But it was just hilarious how they're zooming in on her. She's just dead on the bench, just going, fuck. Like at least stand. Like Dan Hurley, who I'm comparing her to, obviously, and who gets ridiculed nonstop for yelling at refs and yelling at his team. Just like at least stand and like energize. Don't just curse at the dead air.
I think at that point too, as that game's going on, like she was struggling to figure out, what do I got to do? There's nothing I can do.
She knew it was over.
Right.
When she yelled at the fuck, it was like game was over.
You're trying to do what you can. You're trying to stay positive, but like we've all been there. We've all gotten our asses kicked. But again, congrats to UConn. Gino's 12th championship. Looking forward to now professional women's basketball as we segue.
All right. Before we get into the 3, I just want you to rank these 3 things on what you would have rathered happen. You win the women's pool for the pride on the podcast. You win the men's pool for the money, or Duke wins for your favorite team. Duke men win. And the UConn women to have your perfect combination of teams.
See, Duke's won before in my lifetime, so that's always good. Bragging rights is great. Women's pool, that was more for fun, and we get to toot my own horn here. I would probably say winning our guys' pool. just for that pride and little bragging rights. I'm always down to brag about something.
All right. You're going strong on the Duke loss, and I respect it. But
I'm trying.
I will torment you for that loss forever, just because just how much in the offseason, and I just have to take out all my Duke hate on you because you're the only personal Duke fan I know. But on Twitter, I just had to hear so much offseason championship banner on Twitter.
Duke Twitter is a little all over the place.
Not that UConn won this year, but we did win a couple championships. All right, on to the W. All right, I believe we are going to agree on the first pick and maybe not agree on the rest of the draft, but I'll let you start since you are our champion of the week.
So with the number one pick, very difficult. Probably draft night. The Dallas Wings are going to probably take the entire clock to make this pick. Obviously, I'm kidding. Paige Beckers, UConn, combo guard, 6 feet tall, out of the UConn Huskies. I think it's a no-brainer pick. This was the lottery. I think that, the reason for a lot of movement in this draft with a lot of teams is because once Paige is picked, the talent is, you're picking more on upside than anything. Paige is a 3-level scorer. She is a great assist girl. She plays defense. Like, she is a top pick in every sense of the word.
Yeah, I have also Paige. Obviously, without being biased, one of the best players I've seen, men or women. Just an elite scorer at every level, and you can tell that if you watch one game of hers or the entire season. You can't tell she's been injured multiple times in her career. She averaged 20 points with a loaded roster. AZ won most outstanding player in the Final Four, and Paige averaged 24 in the tournament. She just didn't go off in the last 2 games.
Including 3 games in which she's scored 105 points.
Yeah, it just wasn't the last 2 games.
Right.
Easy one, the last 2 games. And Sarah Strong also was amazing, rebounding everything. So she would fit in on every roster. Every team would run to the podium. No brainer. Could win MVP in any season, but probably won't because Asia Wilson and Nafisa Collier exist, and they're just amazing players. It's just hard to see anybody being better than them. But Paige is that good.
No, she's a franchise building block, and Dallas winning the lottery. They're obviously getting a great player to pair with their all-star shooting guard.
Yeah, it sucks that she has to go to Dallas because I want her. I want to see her more. I don't want her in Dallas. I want her.
Yeah.
I want her on a perennial team with Connecticut.
Dallas should be better this year, though, with that roster. And Paige, I think, is going to help unlock. You would think help unlock some of those players.
Hopefully, they are a perennial playoff team now, especially with DJ, since she's one of my favorite players.
Mm-hmm.
All right, second pick, Seattle Storm.
I guarantee we disagree on this, by the way, already.
Yeah, I already have leaked my my pick, and it has not changed. Seattle Storm, I am taking Dominique Malonga, 19-year-old, 6'6" center out of France. She can shoot threes. You could stash her away for a year, especially since Seattle isn't in need of a difference maker right now, especially at the center spot. You got Ezzy. She's 6'4" and 25 years old. But at power forward, you got Nneka Ogwumike. She's 6'2", but 34 years old, and Gabby Williams, 5'11" and 28 years old, but isn't as productive. So I could see you move on from those power forwards, move Ezzy to power forward, bring in Malonga at center. That's a freaking duo. And then you got Skylar feeding them the ball. That's a team. So that's where I think I think Malonga's, like you said, it's a drop after Beckers. This isn't This is a lot of potential. It's a lot of great names, and like I like drafting where we are, honestly, for Connecticut. I like the names there. There's like I'm going to give 3 to 4 names that I love for us to draft with those 2 picks. I don't love drafting where the Mystics are, honestly, compared to where we are, like where the Valkyrie are. But I think you can't pass on Malanga. I love this pick for the Storm. Based on the film I've been able to watch. I'm not going to go out and say I've watched more film than anyone. But I really wanted to do my due diligence on all these people, on all these women, and on as much as I could find on YouTube and any articles written about these players. And I kind of fell in love with Malanga's game and the hype that these writers were building around her. So yeah, I think you can't pass on her, whether you need her or not. And I think the Storm getting the second pick is perfect because they don't need anyone right now to be a playoff team. And so if they do want to stash her for when Agumake leaves the team, if that's coming up, she could fit right in.
Yeah, I mean, all the reasons you said, like if they do take Malanga, like there's nothing wrong with taking that pick, right? So I looked at it from this standpoint. When the Storm made the trade, a part of that 3-team trade where it was Jewel Lloyd, Kelsey Plum, and the number 2 pick was the big pieces. I really believe Seattle was looking to draft a player like Olivia Miles. They saw that as an opportunity. Jewel Lloyd, great player, but she's getting up there now, many years in the league. So I do think for a team that has key positions where the roster is aging, I don't know if they would make the pick to stash somebody away. A lot of what I was reading is there's pressure on the Storm team to do something soon. They might be an option where they either go backwards or another early exit in the playoffs. Like they could look to blow up the team, look to rebuild in the future. So with that, I actually have Notre Dame's Sonia Citron, as the second pick. Strong shooter, very good defender, could be a strong wing next to Skylar Diggins-Smith. You talked about the loaded front court already. I just don't know whether or not Seattle's in a place to draft to stash for the future, or if they're looking for someone who is more likely to be an impact player day one if Malanga is not coming over, or if Malanga has to play behind a couple of the veterans, was where I was thinking with my mindset.
All right, so we got Paige at 1. I got Malanga at 2. You got Citron at 2. See, so now 3 and 4 are both with the Mystics. So it was a toss-up for me on who they picked first. It didn't really matter. But I ended up going Kiki Iriafen, 21 years old, 6'3" forward out of USC. She had a slight down year numbers-wise, but she played with Juju. So it really, when you think about it, that's like very impressive. Going from I think she was with Stanford. I'm guessing Stanford. Okay, she was with Stanford, and then going to USC, now being number 2 to Juju, and only going down slightly in numbers is basically like going up anywhere else. She dominated the game. Juju went out, but she did have 2 kind of mediocre performances after that. I don't think it's gonna really hurt her as much as that one game helped her. I think she has a really high ceiling for the W. With her rebounding and scoring ability. She's really tough and can end up just being a great finisher. I think she's riding a really good high and has a lot of momentum. I think the draft is coming at a really good time for her. And the Mystics need everything. And I think not only her playing ability, but her star potential, I think, is a big factor. And I think she could be a face of their franchise.
Yeah, no, I actually have a different pick here as well. Obviously, since Malanga wasn't going number 2, I believe she's going number 3. The Mystic I think they're even starting over more than Connecticut at this point. Taking a look at that roster, our old friend Sydney Johnson from Fairfield University, new head coach of the Washington Mystic, saw that today. So wishing coach the best. Yeah, this is a full rebuild, and you're looking at drafting 3 picks in the top 6, right? So this is where I think, even though it's kind of tough for the Mystic, they also have a loaded front court, right? So they have, I was looking at their roster before, they've got Aaliyah Edwards, as we know, Stephanie Dolson's there. I gotta get that roster 1 sec. Shakira Austin's there. A lot of players who put up double-digit numbers or close to double-digit number for them in the front court. I think Malonga could fit perfectly here with Stephanie Dolson, who's obviously been in the league for 11 years as a mentor, and how to be in the league and how to be a pro in the league, since she's been around and been successful in the WNBA. So I had Malonga as 3, and I just think she's probably a better fit on a team that's probably getting ready to work from scratch more than a playoff now ready team. And then jumping right into 4, since the Mystic have back-to-back picks, I have them drafting. Sorry, I've got if you knew my setup here, guys, it's 3 screens. I've got my phone. We're running through. It's that Charlie Day meme from Always Sunny. That's how I feel I live my life with my monitors. But I have them picking.
Joe's brain is 17 tabs open in a row.
Yeah, I'm one of those guys who clicks back and forth. But I have the Mystic actually grabbing their point guard with pick number 4 here. So I have them grabbing Cheyenne Sellers out of Maryland, point guard, shooting guard, 6'2". I just think, your 2 most important positions in a rebuild is probably going to be your center and your point guard. So if you compare those 2, you said it earlier, these picks in the middle of the draft are tough because I don't feel like there's a lot of prime guards in this draft, just on paper. There's good players, but I don't think there's anyone that's franchise altering once you get past probably Paige and Malonga. But I do think the point guard, shooting guard position is very important. And Cheyenne, even though she battled some injuries towards the end of the season, she's a phenomenal player. She's 3-level scorer, great defender. I think she's just a good building block from the point guard position for the Mystic.
All right, so your 2 players for Washington were Sellers and Malonga.
Yep.
Yeah. So I have Iriafin and 21 years old, 6'1" guard out of Notre Dame. I have Sonia Citron falling to 4 to the Mystics, but it doesn't really matter. She could go easy. I honestly probably think she might go 3. Most mocks have her going 3 or 2. But I don't know. I think something about Iriofin's star power. I feel like she's just riding a high right now, and Citron's kind of going to slip under the radar. But again, I have them going to the same team, and they are going to hand in the cards, and it won't really matter at the end of the day. But again, 21 years old, 6'1" guard out of Notre Dame. She moves well with the ball and probably better without the ball. I was watching game highlights, and it wasn't just one game. A lot of these highlights were her cutting and getting the ball under the rim, and it was fun to watch. She defends well in a class that I don't think has the best defenders. A lot of the notes on these players where it needs to a lot of the lists of areas of improvement were defense. So It was good to see players like Citron have not have areas of not improvement to be defense. What am I? The word I'm looking for? Good areas to be defense. But she doesn't always stuff the stat sheet though. I was looking down her list. She has some big games, but some very forgettable games. But she also is a third option at Notre Dame with Miles and who am I forgetting? On Notre Dame, they don't come to me. But Citron. No, that's who we're talking about. Citron, Miles, and somebody else. I can't think of because we're doing the draft. All these names are just in my head now. So I can't think about other college players. Sorry, but she is the third option. So the I take that as what you will for her stat sheet being not
Hannah
as.
Hidalgo.
Thank you, Hidalgo. So yeah, I have her falling to 4 when most mocks have her 2 or 3. But yeah, so that's get them Mystics getting a forward and getting a guard, so they can go either way now with their 6th pick in my draft.
All
So
right, so
now
that moves us to
so
number 5,
yeah,
where
so
the
non-Mystic
Valkyrie are making their first pick. This is
first
an
ever pick,
expansion
right?
team. Say that
Or
again.
is this the second ever pick? Is this her first ever pick or the second ever pick?
First ever pick. This is their first pick in the under the new management, under the new team. So you talked about this player having a lot of star power, potential. I think she probably has one of the higher ceilings in this draft. Kiki Ierafin, right? We've been working on that all day for me. How we do?
Iriafen.
Iriafen. Man, it's like I hear you say it. I practice it all day, and then when the
That's
moment
how
comes, I'm like Pedro
every
Pascal on Saturday Night Live.
Iriafen, yeah, that's how I have it written out. I have everything written out phonetically just in case, but I've grown to memorize these just because I've have nightmares now of mispronouncing names.
So we're just gonna go with Kiki for this for my rest of my analysis here. But so my thinking behind Kiki falling to 5, and like I do think realistically she could get picked anywhere from 2 to 5 as well. Valkyrie are a West Coast team. You pick someone with familiarity in the area. You pick someone who already has a following in the area. She is someone who I think you could build around. I was looking at the roster for the Valkyrie. Like they really didn't do that great in the expansion draft, and like really didn't sign any free agents. So I figured pick someone who's going to be you could feature. You could pair with Kate Martin, who might end up being the best player on the Valkyrie this year. And you have a pick and roll option. Kiki's very good at the face-up game from the power forward position. If she keeps expanding her game, she's going to rebound. She's going to, play defense. But like, I just think she was a good fit on that West Coast roster.
If I'm the Valkyrie, I ain't thinking about this year. I ain't maybe not even thinking about next year. But I'm looking towards the future, and I'm picking one of the best European teenage players of all time. And I'm picking Yuste Josite, 19-year-old, 6'2" guard out of France. She is Lithuanian. She made her debut on the national team at 13, and by 14 years old, guess what? She was guarding Duana Bonner. She's, again, like I said, one of the best teenage Euro players ever. She is a good shooter from 3, mid-range, and floater. Her defense does need a lot of work, but she's 19 years old and plays Euro ball, which would be great for Connecticut. She may be one of my 3 to 4 players to look out for the Sun, but I'll go over that when we're done with all the draft picks. Yeah, I really do like this pick. She really jumped up on my boards the more I watched her tape. I rewatched her stuff the other day, and I was like, yeah, 19 years old, playing France Euroball. Just like, yeah, it really impressed me. Like, she's already built up such a resume in Europe. Valkyries it just seems like a good spot. She was climbing other draft boards too. I saw a lot of hype is going into her name, so it seems like a real possibility. So I'm not just making things up and throwing shit at a dartboard and seeing if it sticks. You say Josite at number 5 to the Valkyrie to their future.
I like it. That's quite a pick because it's again you probably aren't making that much of an impact in year one. Next year's draft is potentially loaded with probably a couple bigger names than this draft. So it's like, hey, why not draft someone that we're building towards the future? Like, I think that's a pretty good pick. So then what? We're back to the Mystic.
Yeah, third and final Mystic pick.
So third and final pick. So drafted in my board, we have the center. We have a combo guard at 6'2". A couple different ways you could think about this pick. It's like, do you try to get a wing, reach for somebody, or are you looking for another type of guard, a shooter, whatever? I was kind of back and forth. So I picked someone who might end up being the best defensive guard in this draft for this position. So this way you have someone as the off-ball guard. With the sixth pick, I have the Mystic picking shooting guard, small forward out of North Carolina State, Sonia Rivers. Sanaya Rivers, excuse me, another one. We gotta get like a jar for me with like coins when I mispronounce names, and then we can use that and buy tickets and go to the game. But no, that's Sanaya Rivers. I think overall, again, one of the best defenders in the draft. She shot it okay. She shot it better as a 2 years ago versus this past season, but she was still up in the mid to high 30s. So I just think for them, you cross off in the draft of having an on-ball guard, an off-ball guard, people who can guard multiple positions on the perimeter, 1 through 3, and then you have your big center as Malonga.
I like how different our draft boards are. It's gonna be fun on draft. We will be watching the draft together. We will be I haven't decided, and we should talk about it. What we want to do. I'm thinking we're definitely recording the Connecticut Sun picks and uploading those instantly to Twitter and YouTube. But I think we should record little snippets of every pick and react to it and put it all together, or do like an immediate podcast, like a podcast right after, or both, something like that.
No, we got options.
Yeah, something like that. We'll think about it. All right. So for pick 6, Washington Mystics, I'm taking Cheyenne Sellers, 22-year-old, 6'2" guard out of Maryland. Honestly, the notes I have are great passer, great floater, great mid-range shot. It really sums up her game, honestly. You said a lot of true things about her. We don't really need to go into too much and drag this thing out about players already picked. But for Washington overall, recap: I went with a forward and 2 guards, but the guards were a shooting guard, small forwards split, and a point guard, shooting guard split. So they really got 3 different positions. So, and that was
we were on the same mindset that
and Sellers.
We were on the same mindset that they're not going to, it's not like they're going to draft 3 centers. They're not going to draft 3 point guards. Like they're trying to fill out their roster, to go with Aaliyah Edwards, to go with Brittany Sykes. Like they have some talent there. Now they just got to build this young lineup around them.
All right. Now is the moment of truth. Now we're at pick 7, the big pick, the pick everyone wants to know. Who are we taking? And I think, well, I know for both of us, my picks are still available for you, and your picks are still available for me, which is funny. And I know a lot of people are in our DMs wanting one of these players at least. Actually, I've heard both these names that I have.
I'm going to assume since the first pick, we're probably going to agree on these 2 picks. I'll go 7. You go 8.
The next 3 picks I have, I'm okay with any of them, and Yosite. Those are the 4 names I really want. If Yosite drops, I'd be thrilled. I'm starting to think this next player I have at 7 isn't making it to us.
I have been hoping this entire draft that this player is going to make it to us. I would not be surprised.
I don't know who doesn't.
I would assume that the Valkyrie might take this player. I have and spoiler, here we go, right? With my 7th pick, I have LSU 6'1" power forward, Anissa Mora.
Yeah,
I have been all over this player since we started doing the podcast. Obviously, losing DJ Carrington, is a hustle player, a defender, a motor, an energy player. Everything I've seen in the tournament from Anissa Mora is what that potentially could be. Now, she's definitely considered more of a power forward, more of a inside outside player versus a outside inside player. But I think she's someone at 6'1". If you're averaging almost 15 rebounds a game at 6'1", like the ball is going to find you, right? You can't teach that. You can't teach just the ball finding you and having a motor. Like you either have it or you don't sometimes. So I think someone who, you can throw into the post on a certain matchup. You can play on the perimeter with her. Like she shot, I think, just under 30% from three, if not right above it. Like I think she's a player with a very high ceiling, and if she does somehow make it to pick 7, which like fingers crossed, like I think Anissa Mora is a great starting point for this rebuild.
Yeah, CT needs everything, and I would love to pair her with Tina Charles. Morrow spent 3 years at DePaul, worked her way up to LSU. She's one of the best downhill drivers, steals and blocks. She gets them both. She needs to shoot better, but can easily improve that to expand her game to a WNBA level of shooting for someone at her position. I think we'd be lucky to have her. Yeah, like I said, if she is drafted ahead of 7, hopefully it means Yosite drops and we get a point guard. I'm conflicted because let's go with the next pick. Pick 8, I have the Connecticut Sun taking Georgia Amore, 24-year-old, 5'6" guard out of Kentucky. She is Australian, was at Virginia Tech for 4 years. She is the second oldest and shortest the shortest prospect in the first 2 rounds of this year's draft. She drains deep threes. She is one of the best off-ball shooters. Pick and roll player. She's a great passer. Hits mid-range shots. She ends up making you forget about her height. It makes it a non-factor, but is a lackluster defender, which needs to improve. It was tough between her and the next person. I'm probably the next draft pick I'm taking, but I think we needed a point guard and we needed a power forward, and I think we need everything. But I think if we can get a point guard and a power forward, that would be huge. And I think Amore's ability to score is almost too good to pass up on.
Nah, so I was wrong. We do have a different pick here.
Okay.
So you had talked about with the Valkyrie, with Aisha. No, who'd you say for? I'm blanking now.
You say Josita.
Right. See, yeah. Okay. Right. So you had an international hold there for the Valkyrie. I actually have the Sun drafting an international player here at pick 8. This is Aisha Sayuka. I think you didn't just pick her now because you wanted me to try to say her name, but that is one I've been practicing all day.
No, to my knowledge, you nailed it.
I watched a lot of film recently on her, and 6'4" shooter. I mean, she plays inside and outside. I think as we get to this new roster, I think versatility is going to be the name of the game. And I think, pairing her up with Charles and Morrow, you're going to have players on the perimeter. You need players on the perimeter that can shoot. I mean, if Mabry's staying, she's a shooter. Point guard still remains an issue. It's something that I hope, Lacan gets the job or JC Sheldon takes the next step. So you have guards there at least that can get you through. I do think that this pick originally probably would have been AZ Fudd. Maybe before she had her great tournament run.
Yeah, I think she would have went up.
She would have went, which would have knocked one of the other guards. But I think that I just think it'd be very hard to turn down a 6'4" shooter. And again, the international connection, it'd be something I think would be very interesting to pair as that modern day player. I mean, her versatility, it's a matchup nightmare. So
to be fair, I picked an international player. She's just Australian.
Yes, you did. And like, I mean, they could go point guard as well. I just don't know if taking the small point guard at 7 or 8 is the move. And who knows? I mean, we can talk about it more later, but like, we still got to find a home for Mabry, whether that's with us or on another team. You never know if there's going to be a draft day deal or something that
If
allows
we're
us to
getting
move
rid
back.
of Mabry, we better draft A more. Someone needs to score threes.
Yeah, no, I mean, shooting is definitely something that's a need for this team. Which
I know,
again,
I
that's
know,
not
I know.
page.
Sayuka can shoot too, but I don't know if that's her main priority.
Yeah, I mean, 6'4" shooter. Like the highlights I kind of watched today. I mean, she was pick and pop. She was ghosting the screens and flaring out to a wing. Like, she can move. She can
Yeah.
move. So we'll see though.
All right, who you got for the Sparks?
Oh, the Sparks. I was a little back and forth on this one too. The Sparks, I think, are going to be a very good team this year, if healthy wise.
They better be. They put a
You
lot of
know,
assets into it.
last year they had, I mean, they had Rakia Jackson, Cameron Brink before she got hurt, Hambury. I'm blanking on one other starter that was double. They had 4 players in double figures last
Yeah, you're
year.
missing the point guard.
I'm missing
Plum?
the point guard.
Kelsey Plum?
No, I said Plum.
Oh,
Who am I? Why am I? Where's
just
my
to
name?
ignore you, I guess.
Odyssey Sims. There we go. So they had a lot of production, but I think with this player, there's no pressure to start right away. There's no pressure to have a huge impact, but it's somebody that I think has only just
I think we're going with the same.
rebuilt their image this season playing for TCU. I have the Sparks picking 5'7" point guard for TCU, Haley Van Lith. I think that she, she's a winner. I think that her draft stock is built. I think the Spark is a good landing point to learn behind 2 professionals in Plum and Sim. But also, she has a good withstanding with Cameron Brink. They were on the 3-on-3 team for USA, so there's already a familiarity there. I just think it falls into a good spot for her.
I don't know. I won't say anything. I'll wait till the end. All right, for the Sparks, like you said, I have the exact same reason. Someone that can come in and just do their job and not have a lot of pressure. And that's Tahina Pow, 22 years old, 5'9" guard out of South Carolina. Just sit back and splash threes. She was at Oregon for 3 years. She's the most consistent 3-point shooter in college basketball. Don't at me, but that's correct. She is. You can at me. Maybe it was Miles, but I think it was Pow. She doesn't go to the rim and draw fouls, and when she does, she isn't the best finisher. But on the contrary, she actually has a very good floater, which is kind of funny. Just do the floater and don't go to the rim. But yeah, I mean, she can just be a WNBA 3-point shooter.
Yeah, I mean, she was somebody that I was actually considering for Connecticut to pick because, again, I think
yeah, that was my 4th player.
The type of player it was shooting. Like, she's a professional shooter. Like, that is a very important role to a team, especially when you might have not as much shooting. You're gonna be valuable in the league. So no, that could easily be a pick there as well. I know. Again, the Sparks are looking for role players, and she fits a very specific role. So, I think either one is a good fit for them.
Yeah, I was every game I was watching of hers in the tournament. I was like, I can't wait to draft her in my mock to us. She's just hitting threes. I was like, I'm probably gonna have to take her. And I was like, as I was doing this, I was like, Anissa Morrow's falling to us. I was like, I'm not picking Anissa Morrow. I'm like, fuck it. I'm actually not gonna take Tina Pow because I was like, I didn't think Morrow was gonna. I was like, am I gonna take Amore and Pow? Or am I gonna have to take Pow and like somebody else later? Or I don't know, one of the other players that we already took. But I was like, I'm gonna probably take Pow, and I ended up not having to take her. But I really wanted to. I really like her game. I think she's gonna be, especially on a team like that where she could just sit in the corner and do her thing, or sit on the wing and do her thing. Um, she's gonna be great, and she can play a little defense. So, is it my turn or is it yours?
That leads us to Chicago. I can go first because the player I picked here, you've already talked about with Connecticut potentially drafting. I have Georgia Amore with the Chicago Sky. They're just front court heavy. That's really why at this point I was like looking at the list of the guards on the list, and I'm like, Pow Pow is still available on my mock. Do they take a straight shooter? Do they need someone more with the ball in their hands making decisions? I was back and forth, but I just think this would be a good landing spot for Amore, who's a tough player, going to Chicago, who is, very physical, very, very young as well. So it gives an opportunity for an outside scorer to pair with Angel Reese and Camila Cardoza.
Chicago Sky draft pick could play right away. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, I would think they have a good opportunity if it's in the backcourt if they draft someone.
Yeah, I have them as well taking a guard, but I think I mean, you could call me crazy. This is our first year doing this draft. You can make fun of me all you want in the comments, but this is my steal of the draft right here. Chicago Sky. Well, this is my steal of the draft as a player. I don't know if the Sky are going to take him, but Sarah Ashley Barker, 23 years old, 6-foot guard out of Alabama.
Wow.
She could get real minutes right away. She had 45 points in Alabama's overtime loss to Maryland in the 5-4 matchup in the tournament. She averaged 18 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists this year at Bama as a guard. I just think she has some great stats, and the film I could watch impressed me. As a 6-foot guard, I think she has real game, and I think she's climbing up some boards. And I had to really dive into her. I had to dive into her name and found out that I really like her game. And so I couldn't let her go undrafted in this first round, and I had to talk about her. So Sarah Ashley Barker, you are the steal of the draft in my mock.
So I had Amore, you had Ashley Barker. I think, yeah, I mean, what I've seen, she definitely can put the ball in the hoop. I guess, it's a bland statement, but one of those where you see, I think that kind of draft pick could be based on fit, whether it's Chicago or a different team. A lot of these rookies are going to find success on certain teams. And I mean, we've kind of looked at the trend already for the WNBA. And it's like, if you're a rookie and you don't play right away, there's a chance you're not on that team the next year. So yeah. We'll see what happens with her.
I will say, well, yeah, that's true. So if that happens, I will say it does. I said it's the pick she's the steal of the draft regardless. The Sky does kind of make it the steal of the draft if she's paired there and plays right away. But if she gets traded from another, like if she goes to the Lynx, she probably doesn't play and doesn't look like the steal of anything. But if she gets to go to the Lynx and then traded and then plays for the Sun next year and looks awesome, she could be the steal of the draft. Right. But yeah, so we'll give it a few years. But if she goes to the Sky, it could be right away. All right, I'll go first. 11 Minnesota Lynx. I have Ayesha Siuka, 19-year-old, 6'4" forward out of Slovenia. I wrote Big Show can shoot. I don't think the Big Show has anything to do with this. She's big and can shoot. I don't know what I meant to write. She was the MVP of the 2023 Under-18 Euro Championships. She's a stash candidate for a loaded team like the Lynx. I think it makes good sense if she's there at 11. Minnesota doesn't need a player that I don't think there's anybody left that's going to put them over the top of New York or anything that could help them win the championship. Obviously there could be. What do I know? I'm not no GM, but I would think that let's get this player that could be something in a few years when a couple of our players leave or trade her in a few years for something that we do need that could help us.
Yeah, no, I mean, you already know my feelings on her. I think she's a potential very versatile player, whether she plays right away because she's one of those that's 19 turning 20, so she has the opportunity to stay in Europe one more year and then come over. But I do think she could be a high impact player at some point. You talked about roles before. You had this player as a role for the Sparks. I could see, a team like Minnesota here also using her skill set as a shooter. I have Pau Pau on this team. I just think, Minnesota has been known over the last handful of years of not being chuckers, but when you're open on that team, you're putting the ball up. So I just think she could be a good, off-ball guard. If McBride's driving hard to the rim, she's looking at the corner, and Pau Pau standing right there with one of the prettiest shots that we saw in the tournament this year. So I just think she could just be a good fit on a contending team that way.
Yeah, as much as I would love Connecticut to draft her, it just makes sense for her to be on a contending team.
Yeah.
All right, we're coming down to the last pick of the first round. Dallas Wings, who you got?
So I was back and forth here, because I watched a little bit of film on Jusite. I'm so bad with names.
You stay Josite?
Josite.
Wait, you have her undrafted still?
I have her. I had her. I have her essentially in this pick, but I had someone else as the tournament was going on, and then after the tournament, I was back and forth. So officially, I have Sidonia Prince from TCU, 6'7" center. I think you just draft your guard and your center to start and end the draft, but that was before the tournament. And once I saw Prince against Texas, where she struggled against some physicality and she struggled, posting up and everything, I think she might be a second round candidate. So I will go with you on that and go with. Oh my goodness, it's late. Jusite, yeah.
You stay Josite. I don't even know if I'm right, but that's how I heard it from the announcers in the game I watched. You say Josite.
I'm so sorry about it.
You say
Long
Josite.
day. Josite, yeah. Long day, 9 to 5.
When you say you're with me, I had her at pick 5. You have her at pick 12.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of depending on.
I think who you had it. Who did you have at pick 5?
I had Kiki.
When did you have Sanaya Rivers?
That was the next pick at 6.
Okay, because that's who I have at 12. Sanaya Rivers, 22 years old, 6'1" guard out of NC State. Probably the best defender in the draft. She can guard 1 through 4. Needs a little better offense. Needs better offense, but she's a pure defender. I think Dallas. I did read that they are prioritizing defense. They did bring in DJ Carrington, who's a great defender. So I think this is a great pick for them. She is a great player. Like, I don't know, it's hard if you're just a defender where you go in the draft. And I can see Dallas with their second pick, the end of the first round. That's a great spot for a player like that. I don't know if her offense is going to be at all a thing in the WNBA.
Right.
So I could see her falling.
Yeah.
But I mean still 12th best player in college.
We've had, if you look back at our picks, we had all the same names. The only one that I didn't have was Barker.
Which I didn't have Haley Van Lith.
And you didn't have Van Lith in the first round. So, pretty much on the same page with the players. I think that's probably how it should be. And even looking at some of these mock drafts, like Van Lith and Barker are picks 13 and 14 in their mocks.
Yeah, and we'll keep track and we'll see what the real draft is, and we'll share the results.
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll summarize our picks here. We could probably post it to the page as well. You have yours, I have mine.
We'll have all 3 listed out, like what I said, what you said, what actually happened. We'll keep a running tally. But let's go through pick. We have one more draft pick to go through.
One more
Connecticut has
surprise
one
for
more
you guys.
pick 25. We didn't do too much research. We're not going to lie to you. But we picked a couple names. We looked through them, and I found a name I love. One stat in particular that I'm going to share, but I will let you go first, Joe, since you are a champion, and I really like my stat that I found. So we're going to close out with that. So
Yeah.
blow me out of the water with yours, so I look like an idiot.
So just looking at all the different names in the second round, again, like you said, not gonna lie, I don't know too many of them. There's one name though that's probably in like the low to mid 20s here that like might fall, might not fall. So this player might not even be there. This player might move up the draft board. I think the Sun, based on who they're bringing in for training camps and training camp roster spots and who they've already brought in, I think is emphasizing some size. So I think in the late second round, you're probably looking for a project in some capacity, someone that you could have at camps and build skills and all that. So with the 25th pick, I have the Sun picking Sonia Fagan from South Carolina. She was just playing in the championship game. Big, raw, she comes from the long line of South Carolina forwards, Leah Boston, Cardoza, Asia Wilson, some big names. She's just one of those prospects next in line. Don't think she had the year she probably wanted to have. But again, that was a loaded roster. So the ball was moving around. There was a lot going on. Still managed to average about 15 points, 8 rebounds, almost 3 blocks a game. I just think someone, if she ends up continuing to drop or, if there's a trade up a couple picks opportunity, she's someone who, can fit the bill as someone with a high potential.
All right. It's a big name. Be a solid addition. I went with Gianna Neepkins, 22-year-old 6-foot guard out of Utah. She averaged 19 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists as a junior guard. And let me share this stat with you. True shooting percentage. For those you don't know what a true shooting percentage is, I have the Wikipedia definition. In basketball, true shooting percentage is an advanced statistic that measures a player's efficiency at shooting the ball. It is intended to more accurately calculate a player's shooting than field goal percentage, free throw percentage, and three-point field goal percentage taken individually. 2 and 3-point field goals and free throws are all considered in its calculation. It is abbreviated TS percentage point. So Gianna Neepkins' true shooting percentage is 0.672%. Who would you say are the 2 best shooters in this class?
Oof.
2 of the best
probably
shooters.
Paige and Pow Pow.
All right, I didn't pick a
Right?
Paige.
Paige,
I did.
maybe Amore is in there as well.
All right, yeah, I did Amore and Pow Pow. True shooting percentage.
Yeah.
Let's remember, Neepkins 6'7", Amore is 5'3", Pow Pow 5'2".
Wow.
Jumped out.
That's very impressive. I mean,
that jumped out at me.
You got me looking up her stats. I mean, this year she shot 45% from 3, and she was shooting 7 a game. She shot 89% from the free throw line, 50% overall.
Yeah, Morgan Tuck on the phone.
That's shooting.
I want a conversation with Miss Tuck about drafting Miss Neepkins.
What's she currently ranked? What do they have her as? 22, so she's in that same area.
Yeah, I'm starting not to trust Tankathon.
That's the name.
They finally.
No, I use Tankathon.
It took forever for them to put Connecticut as pick 8.
It really did.
And it also says we have it from the Fever when we got it from New York. We got it from the Fever, I think.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
I don't know who to believe. We have to see. We should screenshot Tankathon and other mock drafts and see who did the best. between all of us.
Yeah, there's a few. I looked at today. They had a bunch of them. I was looking at USA Today, CBS, the AP Press had it. Like, there's actually some good ones. I mean, the draft is Monday, so I don't
Maybe
think
that's a
we'll
side
get
project.
any more.
That's a side project I'll do. I'm going to take all of them and see who does the best and compare it to ours. And that'll open up our next draft reaction podcast. All right, perfect. We managed to get to just an hour like every time, no matter what we talk about.
No, we're good.
So
we can
who?
talk.
Give me all right. So we have 2 picks in the first round. Give me 3 names that you would be thrilled if we got. Realistically, don't say Paige or Malanga or Kiki or Citron.
I would say Morrow. She's just been on my board, Anissa Morrow, since the start.
Yeah, Morrow we're celebrating huge. That's the best video you get out of us.
I think and you'll be surprised by this name. I think, maybe not surprised, but I think Pow Pow would actually be a really good pick as well. Having more of a combo guard. And then lastly, I mean, we know that I really like Azuka, but I actually think if Sellers drops, I think she is actually someone who could be a pretty decent pick. What about you?
I'm just hoping Sellers is taken 1 through 5 just because I like the players I like more than her would drop, like Yosite, Morrow, Amor, and Pow Pow. I just want 2 of those 4, and I know 3 of them are guards.
Right.
I don't know.
No,
I just want
it's tough.
I just want the draft to go exactly as I did it, just so I could say I'm smart.
Yeah, it's funny how most of our picks were 1 or 2 off. Most of them, there's a couple where we flipped, pick 6 and 7, or
I'm gonna be so mad when Citron goes 3 and Kiki goes 4. Because I know it's gonna happen, and I still put Kiki 3 and Citron 4.
They're going to the same place.
I know, and I would still be wrong.
I don't know if they'll draft Kiki though, just because they have Aaliyah Edwards there, and she's a power forward. She's not a small forward. So it's like, are you going to do back-to-back first-round picks on power forwards?
Is Kiki really going to drop to 5?
Just based on position, there's a very good chance for it.
I feel like you don't. I don't know. I feel like in the W you draft best player, and then you end up trading a lot of people.
Right, because you figure it out from there. No, I don't know. Well, what time is the draft Monday? 7:30, I think I saw, or is it 8?
Let's double check. I think it's 8.
So we'll be getting together for that one.
7:30.
7:30. We'll roll out the orange carpet and have a good time.
Can't wait to see Paige Bukers. And Kai Ariafine and Sheane Sealers. Just kidding.
Better than me. I am gonna get a jar. It's gonna be the mispronunciation jar, and we're gonna fill that bad boy up, I'm sure, throughout the year.
Yeah,
we'll make a montage of Joe struggling with names.
Yeah, it'll donate to our ticket fund.
Anything else with the draft? Oh yeah, we were looking. I know I teased it last time. We were looking to go to the draft. I was keeping an eye on tickets. They sold out in 8 minutes, Alex. I think I texted you about it.
Congratulations. I don't know how many tickets sold, but congratulations to them.
Yeah, and apparently the cost almost tripled or quadrupled from last year's draft to this year's draft, which is crazy.
I'm glad we don't have to spend it, because we would have.
No, exactly. We're going to watch it from the comfort of a home.
Yeah, eating junk food. But that would have been fun. Maybe one day we'll get paid to go.
Yeah, get our credentials.
Somebody sponsor us. Coke Zero, best Coke ever? I think so. I legitimately think so. So sponsor us.
New York Knicks, we're right here.
Yeah, the Knicks. Dolan's going to sponsor us.
Well,
All right.
all right.
So
Well, thank you guys for joining.
I can't wait for the draft.
Draft will be fun. Leave comments below. Reach out to the account. Let us know what you guys think. Again, we'll probably upload a post highlighting Alex's mock draft and my mock draft. We'll probably do a poll, see who you guys think is going to be more accurate. We'll have a little fun with it because once the draft comes, it's pretty much a month away till the season, so it goes quick.
Yep. Can't say it any better. Have a good one, everyone.
Later.